Sophia Torres stood before the cracked mirror in her tiny room, smoothing the emerald green dress her best friend Carmen had lent her. Her hands trembled as she applied cheap lipstick, the only kind she could afford. At 26, she had never been on a real date. Tonight felt like a dream, a chance to be seen, to belong, to matter. For 4 years, Sophia had worked as a housekeeper in the mansion of James Whitfield, the reclusive billionaire whose life was polished perfection but emotionally hollow. His home was a palace of marble floors, chandeliers, and silence. Sophia knew every inch of it, yet to him, she was invisible, a polite thank you at most. Still, she often wondered how someone with everything could look so lonely. Now, after weeks of texting, Sophia was meeting Ryan, a man from a dating app who'd seemed sweet and genuine. He'd chosen the Golden Rose, one of LA's most elegant restaurants. Sophia had only $8 left in her purse after rent and sending money to her mother in San Diego. But Carmen had told her she was beautiful. And tonight, she wanted to believe it. The Golden Rose glimmered like a jewel box, its glass doors guarded by well-dressed couples. Inside, Sophia felt eyes on her the moment she stepped in, judgmental, assessing. She told the waiter she was meeting someone and sat by the window, nerves dancing in her stomach. 8 o'clock came, then 8:15, then 8:30. Each time the waiter returned, she smiled weakly and said, "I'm still waiting." The whispers from nearby tables cut deep. By 8:45, she checked her phone again. A message from Ryan blinked on the screen. "Sorry, but I don't think this will work out. You're not really what I'm looking for. Good luck." The words hit like a slap. Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to disappear, to escape the humiliation. What she didn't know was that, across the restaurant, James Whitfield sat alone. His meeting had been canceled, and he was reviewing contracts when he saw a familiar face. At first, he didn't recognize her. The woman in the green dress looked elegant, radiant. But when realization struck, he froze. It was Sophia, his housekeeper, the quiet woman who'd worked his home for years, who'd always greeted him politely and gone unnoticed. But tonight, she looked breathtaking. For the first time, James really saw her, the warmth in her eyes, the quiet dignity in her posture. Then he saw her phone light up, saw the heartbreak wash over her face, and something inside him cracked. Before he could think, he was already standing, walking toward her table. Sophia looked up, startled. "Mr. Whitfield," she whispered, mortified. "May I sit?" His voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. When she tried to leave, he gently said, "Please don't. Not like this." There was something in his tone, sincere, human, that made her stay. "I saw what happened," he said quietly. "Someone stood you up." Sophia flushed. "Yes, I guess I was foolish to think tonight would be different." "Different from what?" he asked. "From every other time," she said softly. "Men don't look at me that way, Mr. Whitfield. I'm the kind they overlook." "You're wrong," he said firmly. "And whoever stood you up is a fool." When she finally met his gaze, she saw something she'd never seen before. Someone truly seeing her. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Because I couldn't stand to see you hurt," he admitted. "For years you've been in my home, and I was too blind to notice you. Until tonight." The air between them shifted. James asked if she'd eaten, then waved for the waiter. "Join me. Let's just be two people having dinner." Sophia hesitated, glancing at her purse with its $8. "You don't have to." "Please," he interrupted. "Call me James. Just for tonight." Hearing his name on her lips felt strange but right. They ordered, and conversation flowed easily. Sophia told him about Ryan, how she believed his kind words, how quickly hope had turned to humiliation. James listened, anger burning quietly. "His loss," he said, "and my luck, because if he'd shown up, I wouldn't be here with you." She laughed softly, tension melting. As they ate, she opened up about her childhood, her hard-working mother, her dream of opening a small bakery. "Baking makes me happy," she said. "It's how I share love." James realized how little he knew about this woman who'd been in his life for years. "What about you?" she asked. "What's your dream?" He hesitated. "I don't know anymore. My father built this empire. I just maintained it. If I could, I'd teach. History or literature. Then why don't you? She asked simply. He smiled sadly. Because it's not that easy. People depend on me. Maybe not, she said, but you can still find ways to feed your soul. You don't have to give up one for the other. Her words cut deep, gentle but true. She had every reason to be bitter, yet spoke of hope. As the evening unfolded, James shared things he'd never told anyone, his loveless childhood, the loneliness of success, the emptiness behind every headline. People see my money, he said. No one sees me. Sophia reached across the table and touched his hand. I see you, James. The warmth of her touch felt like sunlight after years of cold. Later, as they left the restaurant, the city lights shimmered around them. Thank you, Sophia said. This night started as the worst of my life, but you made it something beautiful. It wasn't kindness, James said softly. It was selfish. I didn't want to let you go. Can I see you again? He asked, his voice unsure for the first time. Sophia hesitated. She knew the risk, but something in his eyes made her brave. Yes, she whispered. I'd like that. He smiled and kissed her forehead gently, a promise more than a gesture. The next morning, Sophia arrived at work nervous, expecting awkwardness. But James was there in the kitchen making coffee, something he'd never done. Good morning, he said warmly. I'm maid extra. Join me on the terrace. That simple moment, coffee and sunrise, changed everything. Over the next few weeks, they found a rhythm. By day, she worked as always. But after hours, they cooked together, shared stories, laughed over burnt pasta, and watched old movies. James learned to make her grandmother's recipes. Sophia taught him to find joy in small things. She showed him her world, the community center where she baked for children. He showed her the poetry books hidden in his study, the pieces of himself he'd buried beneath duty. Love grew quietly between them, like sunlight sneaking through cracks. But the world wouldn't stay silent forever. Their secret would soon be exposed and tested. Rumors started small, like whispers drifting through marble halls. The staff noticed how often Mr. Whitfield smiled lately, how Sophia's laughter echoed faintly from his study. They exchanged knowing looks, though no one dared speak openly. But peace never lasts long in a billionaire's world. One afternoon, as Sophia was arranging flowers in the foyer, Victoria Hale, James's former fiancée, arrived unannounced. Elegant, ruthless, and perfectly aware of her power, she strutted through the door like she still owned the place. James, she called, I thought we could talk about the gala next week. When her gaze fell on Sophia, recognition and disdain flickered across her face. You still work here? She asked, her tone dripping condescension. Yes, Miss Hale, Sophia said politely. Victoria smirked. Of course. I'd almost forgotten James's charitable side. Before Sophia could reply, James appeared. Victoria, he said coolly, I don't remember inviting you. She looped an arm around his. You didn't, but we both know the Whitfield Foundation gala can't happen without me. You do need a proper date, don't you? James stepped back. I already have one. Sophia froze. Victoria's eyes narrowed. You don't mean her? She laughed, sharp as glass. Oh, James, please tell me this is one of your philanthropic experiments. James's voice hardened. Sophia means more to me than anyone ever has. And if you can't respect her, you can leave. Victoria's smile vanished. You'll regret this, she hissed, heels clicking furiously as she stormed out. Sophia's hands trembled. James didn't have to. Yes, I did, he interrupted. I won't hide what I feel. Not anymore. She looked at him, really looked, and realized he meant it, yet her heart still ached. People will talk, she whispered. Let them, he said softly. Let them see what real love looks like. The night of the gala arrived, glittering gowns, flashing cameras, and a sea of powerful people. Sophia stood by the entrance in a simple midnight blue dress James had gifted her. She almost hadn't accepted it, but he'd insisted, It's not about money, Sophia. It's about showing the world you belong. When they entered together, the crowd fell silent. Murmurs rippled. Isn't she his maid? He brought her? Unbelievable. Sophia's chest tightened, but James held her hand proudly. Ignore them, he whispered. Tonight, they learn who you really are. The evening unfolded in a blur of speeches and charity bids. Sophia smiled gracefully, but inside, she felt like an imposter. She didn't belong among billionaires and politicians. Then, as James took the stage for his address, she slipped toward the terrace for air. The city glowed below, so close, yet unreachable. I don't fit in here, she murmured to herself. A familiar voice behind her said, Maybe not, but you make this place better. She turned. It was James, holding 2 glasses of champagne. You disappeared, he said with a grin. I needed a second, she admitted. I'm not used to people staring. They're staring because you're extraordinary, he said, handing her the glass. Sophia, before the night ends, there's something I need to say. Her pulse quickened. James. But before he could continue, a flash of light exploded. Cameras. Reporters had swarmed onto the terrace. Someone had tipped them off. Mr. Whitfield, one shouted. Is it true your date tonight is your maid? Sophia froze as questions flew. How long has this been going on? Is she after your fortune? James shielded her with his arm. Enough, he barked. This woman has more integrity than anyone in this room. She's not my maid. She's a woman I love. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, of fear, of gratitude, of disbelief. You shouldn't have said that, she whispered. I should have said it sooner, he replied. The headlines exploded the next morning. Billionaire CEO in love with his maid. Whitfield scandal shocks high society. The board panicked. Investors called. Victoria gloated. But James refused to apologize. If they can't accept the truth, he said, then they can leave. Sophia, however, felt the weight of it all. She saw the pitying glances, the cruel comments online. She couldn't bear to be the reason his empire fell apart. So one night, she left a note on his desk. James, you gave me a world I never dreamed of, but I can't let your life crumble because of me. You once told me to follow what feeds the soul, so that's what I'm doing. Please don't come after me. When James found it, the ink was still wet from her tears. He searched everywhere, her apartment, the bakery where she used to work, the community center. Weeks passed. The world moved on. Then one morning, a small bakery opened downtown. Sophie's Crumbs. The sign was hand-painted, crooked but full of heart. James drove there without thinking. Inside, Sophia stood behind the counter, flour on her hands, smile soft and real. Welcome to Sophie's, she said automatically, then froze. James, he stepped closer. You didn't think I'd let you go that easily, did you? James, I meant what I wrote. So did I, he said. I love you, Sophia. I don't care about the company, the headlines, any of it. I just want you. She shook her head, tears streaming. You don't belong in my world. Then I'll build one where we both do. He reached into his pocket and placed a small, flour-dusted box on the counter. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, perfect. No gala, no cameras. Just us, he said softly. Marry me. Sophia covered her mouth, sobbing. Are you sure? I've never been sure of anything. The customers clapped as she nodded, laughing through her tears. Yes. James slipped the ring on her finger. In that tiny bakery filled with the smell of bread and hope, 2 worlds finally became one. Epilogue. Months later, the tabloids had moved on. The Whitfield Foundation's new campaign, Second Chances, was thriving, funding scholarships for women from underprivileged backgrounds. Sophia managed a bakery in the mornings and taught kids to bake on weekends. James still ran the company, but smiled more, laughed easier. Sometimes he helped at the counter, disastrously frosting cupcakes. One afternoon, a customer asked Sophia, "How did you two meet?" Sophia smiled, glancing at her husband. "I guess you could say it started with an empty chair and a man kind enough to sit beside me." James grinned, "And I've never left since." They laughed. 2 people who'd come from different worlds but found the same heart. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive in luxury or perfection. It begins in loneliness, grows in kindness, and proves that the richest people in the world are the ones who never stop believing in second chances.